This is lesson 4.9 out of the Introduction to Algebra book. In my class, 4.9 is on page 96, and lesson 4.9 is titled, just one word, Inequalities. Inequalities. All right, so here's your warm-up. All right, number one, you're going to fill in, I guess I better put some instructions here. Sorry, hold on. Okay, so number one. All right, fill in, for all of these, fill in each statement with less than, greater than, or equal. All right, so a little less than, greater than practice. All right, so number one, 5 and 8. Number two, 0.6 and 0.09. Number three, 1.2 and 1.20. Number four, 7.4 and 7.14. And number five, 0.001 and 0.0001. All right, on all these decimal ones, it's time to refresh your brain on place value, decimal place value, and how we order decimal numbers. Because I think it's been a while since you've looked at those. If you're working in the same order that we're working, it's been a while. All right, so after that, we'll write our I can statements. Statement, just one. I can write and graph inequalities. That's what we'll be learning during this lesson. So I can write and graph inequalities. Okay, so we have one notes sheet, and we're putting it in the usual upper left. All right, so all right, so we're going to be going over some vocabulary here with our inequality symbols. You're probably familiar with them all. Maybe you're not familiar with the greater than or equal to and the less than or equal to, but I think you probably are. What we're going to do, though, is connect those up to some words that connect to those symbols you'll see in statements. You'll see what I mean in a bit. So we got quite a bit of writing to do here, but it's just one-page notes. All right, here we go. Inequality symbols, that's what we're talking about. And I need all my highlighters here. All right, so with my pink highlighter, well, no, first I'm going to give you some hints on some words you'll see in statements that mean these things that you see here. So greater than, one that you'll often see is more than. Okay, more than, of course, is going to mean the same thing as greater than, right? And I'm going to highlight this one in pink. Less than, less than. Okay. let's see, how can I put that? Oh yeah, I know. Okay, it's at, oh no, at most, no, that's the other one. Sorry. Hold on. I'm backtracking. All right, so less than, I'm just going to give a yellow highlight. All right, now greater than or equal to. Greater than or equal to. This one we commonly see at least. And it confuses kids because they see the word least and they think less. Okay? Well, greater than or equal to is, more than whatever number we're talking about. And the words at least mean the same thing as greater than or equal to. All right, I'm going to highlight that one in green. All right. Then down here at less than or equal to, you might see no more than. And this is another one that often confuses students because they see that word more and they think greater. But no more than means that it's less than or equal to whatever number we're talking about. And that one I'm going to highlight in blue. All right? Okay, so now when we graph these, and while we're going to make some notes right down here in this white space, and it might not make a lot of sense to you while we're making the notes. That's okay. We'll refer back to them. Right now, I just kind of need you to write the notes, and then we'll talk about it. Okay. All right. So the first one, how would we graph a greater than? So I'm going to put the greater than symbol here, and I'm going to put an open dot and a line with an arrow, and it's going to mean greater than. Okay, and then less than is going to have an open dot. Oops, but not that way. It'll have an open dot, but the arrow will be pointing this way. All right, that's my less than. Now, if it's greater than or equal to, right, we're going to have a dot, but it will be filled in. That means it's going to include that number. It's greater than or possibly equal to the number we're graphing. So greater than or equal to. And if it's less than or equal to, same thing, except the dot will be filled in. And the arrow is going that way on the graph. So now we have less than or equal to. And these will all make more sense when I show you how we do the actual graphing. Right now, I just want to get it down here and color code it. All right. So our greater than, we color coded with pink. Our less than with yellow. Our greater than or equal to with green. And our less than or equal to with blue. All right. Okay, so let's see how these actually look when we're writing inequality statements and graphing them. All right, so right off to the side is where we will do that. So let's say we have an inequality statement that says x is greater than -1. All right? I don't know what x is, but I know it's going to be more than -1. All right? So I'm going to draw a very simple number line here. In the middle will be 0 and a 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. -1, -2, -3. All right? Now, this one here, this is my greater than, so I'm going to use my pink highlighter. It's greater than -1, it says. So I'm going to have a circle there on -1, and it's greater than, whatever x is, it's greater than -1. Now, if it's greater than -1, is it possible that x is -1? No, it's anything greater than -1, larger than -1. All right, so the arrow that I graphed here represents everything that x could possibly be. X cannot be anything, it can't be -1, and it can't be anything on this side of the number line. Okay, it is anything that is greater than -1, and the arrow represents that. Okay, all right, so now let's say I have an inequality statement that says x is less than -1. Okay, same thing. I'm going to draw my simple number line here. All right, x is less than -1. All right, so I'm going to graph my circle on -1. I am not going to fill it in because x is less than -1. It does not include -1. X could be anything that is smaller than -1, but not including -1. All right, and certainly not anything that's larger than -1. So we have the arrow moving to the left to show that it's everything smaller, less than -1. All right, now we have this inequality statement that says x is greater than or equal to -1. Okay, so now x is greater than or equal to -1. So on this one, I'm going to fill in the dot on -1, because if it's greater than -1, and my arrow here shows me that x can be anything that my arrow is showing, but it could also be equal to -1. So I fill in that dot to show that now we're including this number that we're graphing. So x can be -1, or it could be anything greater than -1. Right? And our final inequality, x is less than or equal to -1. All right, so now x is less than or equal to -1. So again, on my -1, I'll have a filled in circle because x might be -1, but it also might be anything less than -1. And my arrow shows me on my graph all the possibilities for x. So everything you see here and so on cannot be a possibility for x. X can be, however, -1 or anything less than -1. So these are called inequality statements. They're written like that, and this is graphing the inequality statements. So in our I can statement, when we said I can write and graph inequalities, this is writing inequalities, and this is graphing inequalities. All right, so the key thing in graphing inequalities, I'm going to put a big red star right here, and we're going to write out in, I don't know, blue or purple, whichever you prefer, okay, is the difference between the open circles and the closed circles, right? All right, so open circles do not include the value. That means the graphed number. Okay, they do not include the value. Filled circles or closed circles, closed dots, open dots, however you want to say it, do. Okay, filled circles do include the value. All right? Okay, so I'm going to do a light green line right under here and show you 3 examples of what you're going to see on your worksheet, how to work these. All right, so we've got, for each one of these, we are going to write an inequality for each statement and graph. Kind of ran out of line there. Ran out of room. Okay, and graph them. All right? Okay, so the first one. Here's the first statement. All right. Sharon earns at least $8, and we could represent the dollars with a D in our inequality statement, per hour. All right, so she earns at least $8 per hour. Now, I'm going to underline my keywords here for my inequality. My keywords here are at least. And then looking back up at my notes, where did I see at least? Greater than or equal to, at least. All right, so my inequality statement that I'm going to write tells me that whatever it is that Sharon earns, she earns at least $8. And that means that she could earn $8 per hour or anything greater than that. So my inequality is going to be that the dollars that she earns, we're going to represented by a D, are going to be greater than or equal to 8. Okay, that's writing the inequality. And now I graph the inequality. Let's see. So on this one, it's going to start at 8 and go greater. So I'm just going to make some tick marks here. And on this piece of number line, I'm going to have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. All right. So greater than or equal to, we do with green, and it's we're graphing the 8, and it will be a filled in because it's could be equal to 8. So a filled in dot on 8, and then greater than. Right? Remember, we always put the arrow on our graphed our graphed arrow to show that it could be anything greater than that. I mean, she might make $506 an hour. I don't know. But what this statement tells us, it could be $8 or it could be anything greater than that. All right, the next one. Kenny does less than 10 hours, and we'll represent the hours with an H, of homework per week. Okay, less than is my keyword, and I'm going to underline that. All right, and less than, it doesn't say less, and it doesn't say anything like no more than or, you know, at least. I mean, it just simply says less than. So I know the hours of homework that he does per week, and we'll represent the hours with an H, is less than 10. Okay, hours are less than 10 hours. Okay, so is it possible that Kenny does 10 hours of homework per week? No, he does anything less than 10 hours. All right, so maybe he's doing 9 hours, maybe he's doing 0 hours. Okay, I don't know how you could do negative hours. So it's not very representative on this number line, but you'll get into that kind of stuff later. All right, so let's see. We're going to be less than 10. So let's make an 11 here and a 10. 9 and an 8, a 7 and a 6 and a 5. All right, so less than, and it's going to be an open circle because it's less than 10, which means it does not include 10. All right, less than. You see my arrow? All right, last example we will do. Ray is more than 48 inches, and we'll represent the inches with an I, tall. All right, so he's more than 48 inches tall. So is he 48 inches tall? No, he could not be, because it says that he is more than. So our I is going to be greater than 48. Boy, I can just barely fit my notes on this one, huh? So if it's going to be greater than 48, then my arrow is going to be going to the right. So I'm going to put 47 here and 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, and 55. All right, so greater than. That means my circle will be open on this one, and the arrow will go this way. Okay. However tall Ray is, he is taller than 48 inches. He is not 48 inches tall, so we are not including that in our possibilities for I, for the inches. All right, so let's see. That's this part of it. Okay, got it. All right, so that's our notes for lesson 4.9. Let's take a look at our practice problems. All right, practice problems for lesson 4.9. Write an inequality statement and graph it on a number line. So all of these are exactly like what you did in your notes with writing an inequality and doing the graphing. All right, so I would suggest that as you do these, you first underline the key words that tell you what kind of an inequality it's going to be. Then you'll write the inequality, and then you'll do the graphing. All right, okay, so let me get it into frame here for you, and pause and work on those. And then okay, let's see how these work. All right, so Ivan's shoe size, we'll mark it with S, is greater than or equal to 7. So if his shoe size is greater than or equal to, I see greater than or equal to 7, is it possible that his shoe size is 7? Sure, it is possible that his shoe size is 7. The inequality would be S is greater than or equal to 7. Okay, and then that's what we will graph. Ew, that was a pretty squiggly graph, huh? So it's going to be greater than, so I know my line's going to go this way. So I'll put some ticks on here. Boy, that was a terrible graph. All right, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He might be a size 13. Big shoes. All right, so but what I know is that it could possibly be a 7. So I'm going to put my dot right on the 7, right on the number line, okay, and I'm going to fill it in because it could include 7. And then S could also be anything greater than 7. So I put my greater than arrow showing me that the possibilities for S are anything on what my arrow is showing, including the number 7. All right, number 2. An ice cream, this should be Ann, huh? An ice cream cone costs, when you see for the costs, more than $2.50. All right, so I'm going to underline more than. That's my keywords. It's going to be more than. And so the ice cream cone costs more than $2.50. That means it does not cost $2.50. It costs more than that. So maybe it costs $2.51, but it won't cost $2.50. So we write this inequality. We're going to use C as the cost. C, let's drop it down one and give it some room. All right. C is more than, which means greater than, 2.5. Okay, we drop all the extra zeros and dollar signs for the inequality and just make it a simple number there. So 2.5. So it's going to be greater than that. Well, I'm going to mark out my number line here. And don't worry, on your worksheets, you're always given a number line, and then you just do the graphing on it, so you don't have to do this roughing a number line like I'm doing here. Okay, well, I know it's going to be greater than 2.5, so I am going to start with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, 2.5 is between 2 and 3. So I'm going to put my my graphed point halfway between 2 and 3. Now, does it include 2.5? No, it does not. So it's an open circle. But it is anything greater than 2.5. And so I put my arrow to the greater than side and leave this open. All right? That's how that works. All right? Okay, so number 3. A cruise, which we'll represent with C, costs less than $500. Wow. That's a cheap cruise, whatever it is. All right, less than. All right. So if it costs less than $500, could it possibly cost? Oh, that's. What did I do here? Yeah. Okay. So could it possibly cost $500? No. It says less than $500. So maybe the cruise costs $499.99. Okay, but it does not cost $500. So my inequality statement would be C is less than 500, right? And so on my number line, I'm going to write 600, 500, 400, 300, 200, 100, 0. All right, so it's less than 500, so there's my 500. It is not 500, so my my graphed point will be an open circle, and C could be, the cost of the cruise could be anything less than that 500 spot. That is a very cheap cruise. I would like to go on that cruise. All right, last one. Jen ran no more than 50 miles. No more than. Boy, does that one trip up students. You see that more word and you tend to think greater, okay? But let's pick this apart. Okay, so she ran no more than 50 miles. All right? So did she run 50 miles? It's possible, because all it says is that she didn't run any more than 50 miles. So she ran everything 50 miles. The possibilities of what she ran is anything 50 miles or less. All right? So that's, look back at your notes and see, wait, did we put no more than? Yeah, we did, in your notes. What should the words no more than be telling you? It should tell you that the miles that she ran are less than or equal to 50. She didn't run any more than 50 miles. So it could be 50 miles or anything less that she did run. All right, so 50 miles or less, huh? All right, so I'm going to do, let's see, 51, 50, 49, 48, 47, 46, 45. All right, so less than or equal to. So it's possible that she ran 50 miles, isn't it? She just didn't run any more than 50 miles. So I'm going to fill in that circle. And she didn't run any more than 50 miles, so she ran something less than 50 miles, or possibly 50 miles. All right? So that's what that inequality would look like. Okay, so those are your practice problems for lesson 4.9. Let's look at your worksheet. And like I told you, on your worksheet, they give you the number lines. You just have to do the graphing. So for these first four, they want you to look at the graph and figure out what is it telling you and write the inequality. They want you to use X as your variable. Okay, so writing the inequality means writing these. That's what they mean. You're writing these after you look at this graph. All right. Next section is you're going to look at the statements. That's what we just got done doing at the bottom of the notes and in the practice problems. Look at the statement, pay attention to what they want you to use as the variable, write the inequality here, and then graph it on the number line they give you. And in the final section down here, all you're going to do, it's kind of the same thing as the middle section. Pay attention to what it says in each one of these, and then draw a line to match it to whichever one of these graphs is the correct one to go with these statements. All right? So that's your worksheet. That leaves us with your exit ticket for lesson 4.9. Exit ticket is for extra practice. I don't show you how to do it or give you the answers. So just look it over. If you feel real comfortable with these, then you know you've got the lesson. If you're not sure with any of them, you should go back and review and figure out where did you get lost. All right? Okay, well, that's lesson 4.9 out of the Introduction to Algebra book. That's the last lesson out of the Introduction to Algebra book. And the next book we'll be starting is Rates, Ratios, and Statistics. All right, well, remember, the only way to learn math is to do math, and mistakes are proof that you're learning.